Michael Storm, anarchist of comic books and co-owner of Amazing Fantasies here in Topeka, Kansas, and I am here as usual every Tuesday night to put out the brand new books, and there you have it, Absolute Superman. There's some of them on the shelf. What more can I do? There's some that made it to the shelf. It's a miracle. And it's a miracle that'll keep happening if you keep buying them off the shelf. That's kind of the way it works. Look, I told you guys a long time ago, without knowing, that this was coming, that it was obvious they were building to something like this, and here it is. DC X AEW. It's a wrestling story. What fun! If you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of DC, this is the kind of yes. There's a blank one in there. I know. This is just the fun stuff. They even created a wrestler to put into this DC KO thing here. It's this guy right here. He's one of the guys that's up for King Omega in this whole KO battle here that's happening. And speaking of that, this is one of the best titles out there. Look at this. Just take this cover in for a minute and look at what's going on here. Who's that in the middle? That's Vampirilla, 1974, Harris Comics. Sexy vampire, daughter of Dracula, Vampirilla, yeah. Just above that, Red Sonja. And right next to her, you have both Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Below that, I'm pretty sure that's Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's right there. And that's Homelander facing off against Superman. I didn't know this was happening. And then one of you guys called me up the other day, one of the customers called me up the other day and were asking about some battle between Homelander and Superman, and I had no idea. I hadn't looked at the stuff. It was sitting here. I would have known. But then he went and looked it up and then called back, and I said, oh, well, yeah, that's this thing that's over here. And then I got to looking at it a little closer, and you see there's Annabelle, the doll. There's the bear from Beneath the Trees. It's just they're calling in all the universes in this battle, and whoever is the strongest, that's who's going to face off against Darkseid. If you didn't already get a spoiler, Night Fight. This is the end of that. It's part 4 that wraps it up. That's the conclusion. Batman fought his way through all of the Bat family basically, and really only because he didn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go fight in the King Omega event. He doesn't want to try to become King Omega if it would leave Gotham unprotected. And so he ultimately fights through all of the entire Bat family to prove that they would be good enough without him if he goes off to fight in the big King Omega event. So that's the wrap on that, and it ties directly into DC KO number 4, which I guess is due next week. It's due very soon. This is a highlight for DC, by far one of the best things that they have going, and they've got a lot going right now. I mean, truly everything in the Absolute stuff, of course. The KO thing is really great. And some of the other titles that are still going, they're tied in with KO and things like that. It's all just really strong right now at DC, and this is no different. And I'll tell you, Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez really appreciate you guys' support on this, and the fact that even the 3rd issue has gone to a second print now. And we have a couple of them there, including some shiny stuff for you folks who are a bit distracted by the shiny things. Just some collected stuff to take note of. Batman White Knight, the complete 8-issue original series from Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth. Just a classic Batman tale that spawned a couple of more versions later on, and so there's that started it all. Speaking of Batman, this is all the earliest Batman stories in one fat little book right there, including 27 through 51, I think, and then the Batman series itself, like the first 8 or something like that, and it's the first. There's a bunch of firsts in there. First Joker, and first Batcar, a number of different things. Same thing going on there with Wonder Woman. Just a great big fat book. If you've ever wanted to read these are some of the most accessible books that they've ever put together with these presentations. And getting on to Marvel here, you see Godzilla makes another appearance, but this time crazy. He's rolling through the guy. Love this cover. Isn't that just a great cover? I love that writing on there, that banner, and just the bright colors, the two of those two bright lights. Really, truly, if you know anything about Mothra, if you know anything about Captain Marvel, then you know that they're both good guys, I guess. But you have Godzilla here. And he has, see, there you go, nullified. He's been nullified, and he's sort of going through the galaxy and destroying planets and doing nasty things. And he's he's headed for Asgard. There's a whole bunch going on there. It's just Godzilla is everywhere, just everywhere. Magic gets another book, this time with Big Brother Pete. Planet of the Apes versus Fantastic Four. This is another one of those things that was inevitable with the closeness of these groups together and the purchase of some of these properties ultimately by Disney and the corporation, and picking up, same stuff, the 20th Century Fox stuff, the Fox stuff, all that they bought here not too long ago. Aliens, Predator, Planet of the Apes, there's some others. Storm, she gets another title, and this is great because I also have the wrap-up of the last one. Just happened to have picked up a copy of that. It's fantastic to see Storm and some of these other characters, Psylocke, who was somebody else that I was thinking of earlier. Oh, there was somebody else. Somebody else came to mind earlier, but I couldn't actually find a copy of a book actually on the shelf to prove my point. But it's just great to see him getting some of those titles. Ultimate Endgame, obviously, about 3 more issues of that to go. So it seems like it's going to go longer than the titles actually are, because they're all about to come to an end with sort of one more issue. New Wolverine out, fantastic little Panosian cover there with a little tribute to John Byrne. Uncanny X-Men is back, fantastic cover there. And speaking of one of those big fat books, there's one for Daredevil, like the first 44 issues of Daredevil, something like, or 22 issues of Daredevil, something like that. A big fat book, that's for sure. Ultimate Wolverine. Here's a true highlight right here. Archie just crosses over with some of the best, and so does Army of Darkness for that matter. Ash and the crew there, just ending up in some weird places in some weird worlds. Archie and the gang are hanging out at some sort of wood cabin in the woods, sort of retreat, by a lake, Crystal Lake. As all of these sort of tropes from the late 70s and 80s there in the terms of horror. And Archie, his classic self, sort of stumbles and falls at one point and exposes that there's a basement and a pathway behind a bookcase there, and they go down and they find the Book of the Dead and Klaatu Barada, and ultimately some things are released, and Moose gets it, and some other familiar faces bite it, and then they kind of cut the story and they jump back a month or so to Archie working in the grocery store, and they get a new hire, and his name is Ash. So just total greatness right there. Autumn Kingdom, the Cullen Bunn story, gets a second run. This one's called The Wraithbound Queen. Here's another obligatory crossover, Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck. Keen Spot wants you to know that they are not just a comic book company for kids. This is Skyclad, and this is about stripper witches. So need I say more? Need I show you? Should I show you? How about the shiny one? Yeah. Why not, right? Thundar the Barbarian gets comic book. After all that, boy, it's a dynamite-filled place. Dynamite? Oni. Dynamite? No, Keen Spot, sorry. And Dynamite. Okay, mostly Dynamite. More than 50% Dynamite. Thundar the Barbarian, of course, Thundar, I think, man, he might even be older than me. He's right in there. He's somewhere around that age. This is post-apocalyptic kind of Earth, 1,000 years in the future, and he's sort of crosses sci-fi and power, spell power, magic power sort of things going on, and Thundar the Barbarian walking around with his sun sword. there's some other fun stuff. Shiver Town. The Shiver of Christmas Town gets a number 2. I think that goes all the way to 6. And like I was saying when number 1 came out, which I still have a number 1 back there for you if you didn't pick one up. A couple of them apparently, including a blank. It's not just a Christmas story. It's just in Christmas Town. It's just in that universe. Of course, I had to have that, and I haven't cracked it yet, so I don't know what it's about. But Drumsticks of Doom, I'm a drummer. Had to order one of those. Nice House by the Sea picks back up. I have some of these G.I. Joe facsimiles left over. They have another one of these coming out. The number 2, the number 2 issue of G.I. Joe, the original Real American Hero Marvel series. New Savage Sword of Conan, new Spawn, new Sam and Twitch, new Scorched, new Turtles versus Godzilla, Turtles Godzilla, X-Godzilla, however you want to put it. Battle Nexus number 4 is there. It's just another great week. I also have these guys right here. This is the 6 through 12, I think. So the volume 2 of Absolute Batman for some of you guys who are trying to read it and can't seem to put together all the pieces, and we're not even real good at being able to put them together at this point anymore. This is definitely your opportunity to do that, and that's that Bane storyline and how it ties to Batman and the importance in there with all of that. So here's the deal, guys. Oh yeah, wow, I almost forgot all about this. Boy, now I have to find a place to put this. So we had the last one a week or so ago. Is there still, let me see, get these two guys up side by side here. Is that's the current one? Where's the other one? Oh yes, there's so many books back here. This is all the recent stuff. These are the things that have been fairly recent and have to be sorted back in, and I am at a loss as to where those would be. I'm going to have to find them because I missed that. But I will get those put out. You'll see what they are. It's Superman, Spider-Man, speaks for itself, gigantic Marvel Treasury edition. It's a facsimile. It's not the new one yet. That one's still to come. In fact, there was a little mention of it on the previews this time around for Marvel, the Marvel previews thing. So, yeah, still to come. And as always, guys, these things will either be, you got to get on the poll. You got to get on the poll. And while you're at it, give this thing a like. Just wherever you're seeing the video at, tap, click, elbow, whatever it takes to get the like button to respond to you. Let us know that you're out there. And, of course, these comics will either be here, every single one of them will either be here, or they won't when you get here tomorrow.